EVO actually came out and announced that Nintendo told them that they will not be playing Smash at any more of their EVO events. They basically came out and said in the statement that they released, like, not 100% saying that this Nintendo fault, but I mean, just basically saying like, hey, Nintendo just said it ain't happening. And one of the reasons why, a good reason why that I saw that this might be is because this year Panda Global is supposed to be doing a world circuit with Nintendo on Ultimate and Melee. So maybe that's why. But there's different ways you could come at that and saying like that's not a good reason, or maybe it is a good reason. But here we are again, yet doing another story of Nintendo pulling their game. I mean, basically, at this point, Ultimate is, I don't want to say let me not say dead. It's basically done for. They're not, doing nothing with it anymore. It's not a dead game, but they're not supporting it anymore. So it's like a weird time for them to do this. So starting with you, Mr. Game and Lift, please say something nice that no ninjas will show up at our homes.
I guess I can let me find the words to pander to Nintendo, the greats. But I don't know, man. It just seemed like this kind of going off the trend of what we just talked about. It seems like they just like, I don't know, man. Nintendo just don't want you playing it. Like, look, if it's for a competitive event, put the sticks down. Stop. Go home. Like, you're not playing our game at a public event venue. Go home. It's just like I don't know, man. And like Rexon just mentioned, this could be due to the fact that Panda, they have their little merger going on, so maybe they want only Smash to be played at those events. I don't know, but why would you, like, the biggest fighting game tournament in the world, like, why would you take it away from that? Like, no Smash at all, like nothing. We already had the issue with Melee back when it was trying to, first get to EVO, and now here we are again with just no Smash, period. It's like, only Smash you getting at EVO is smashing up the buttons. But also on top of it, I saw somebody on Twitter was talking about the whole Sony thing. And that makes sense too, because it's like, maybe they're like, well, maybe it was something like, hey, like, that's not a Sony game. Like, that's not a Sony console. We're not gonna hold Smash here because it's sponsored by Sony. Sony owns EVO now, so it's like, we're not gonna have Nintendo consoles here. So that could have something to do with it as well. And I had almost forgotten about that, but that's something I thought about when that thing first happened. It's like, how is Nintendo gonna, how is that gonna work with the whole Sony thing? So unless they like made some little side deal on the side, but more than likely, Nintendo, that's probably gonna be hard to like really come to a consensus on a decision to make with, like, hey man, we can do this or do that, we'll give you this for it. Like, Nintendo, like, no, we want all of it. And Sony was like, well, you can get all of it outside. So maybe Nintendo will have to resort to the melty blood tactics and go into the hotel, the bathroom suites, and hold Switch tournaments on the sink or something. I don't know.
Be with melty blood there.
Hey man, I don't know,
man.
They're
on the same console, so
I mean, it's convenient. You got the Switch is portable, So I don't know, man. I think there's this right here is just a lot of different things probably working together. Like I said, the Sony thing on top of Nintendo just being like, we don't want our game anywhere. Like, we just don't play it. So this is a weird one too. But I'm not gonna say it's too far-fetched, as you might not saw that happening. And again, like Rexon said, the whole Panda thing. So it's just a whirlwind of stuff going on right now.
Yeah, so I'm going to come out and say, I feel like this in some ways is kind of one of those situations where they want to keep another situation where somebody wants to keep control over their IP. Now, that may or may not be the case, but it seems like, like Nintendo, like, You guys remember back in the day when Nintendo was like, "Hey, guess what? We're not showing up to E3 anymore. We're not doing it anymore. We're going to do our own thing." So they went off and they did their own thing. And what happened? Thousands of people watch it every time it comes up. Like people are glued to their computer screens, ready for the next Nintendo Direct. And they took a chance. Like people could have been like, "Oh, well, I don't feel like doing that. I don't feel like going to watch Nintendo at their own thing," But all the Nintendo fans went and did it. I mean, like every once in a while, like I'll watch a Nintendo Direct, but that's only if I know something good is going to be announced. Other than that, man, it's just like a situation where they're still trying to hold on to their control. They would just say, "Hey, man, we're going to do our own thing." Like they're doing the whole thing with Panda Global. Who knows what might spring from that? Like it could be a one-off, or they're just like, "Hey, we're doing it this one time," or it could be like for the foreseeable future that they're going to be doing that with all of their games that they make like that. Like if they're any game that would be considered an esports game, they could do that. They could start doing that with like Splatoon and stuff, who knows? It'd be like, we're just going to make our own like world tour kind of things, like how like Namco does with like Tekken. So, they like kind of like sequester themselves over here on the side. Like, hey, yeah, like this is it, man. This is the Nintendo brand of tournaments. We don't need EVO. We don't need any of that other than stuff. All we need is us, baby. Nintendo all the time. So I don't know. I think it's interesting that they went and did that, considering that Capcom did like something that's a little bit similar around the exact same time, one of those, well, we want to control our game kind of thing. Like they just went about it seems a different way. Like instead of just saying we're just going to pull our game completely from whatever, they said, well, you can keep showcasing our game, but now you're going to have to pay us a tax for it. And I mean, that Nintendo could have easily gone that exact same route with like Super Smash Brothers, because it's a really popular game, and people would have paid the price for that. I think like that brings a lot of people, both especially in terms of spectators. Now that's a thing that they're definitely, I feel like if Nintendo did something like, the Nintendo tournament partner thing, and they were like, oh yeah, you can't charge anybody normally, but if you partner with us, you can charge spectators like $10, $20, $30, and all you got to do is just make sure we get our cut. So I wouldn't be surprised if that's the way it's going, like, if they would do something like that. But for now, it's all speculation. So that's what I think. I think they're kind of like withdrawing it so that they can kind of like get their own thing started, just like they did it with the Treehouse and Directs and stuff like that. So we'll see what happens. Maybe they'll EVO will sweeten the pot and bring like Nintendo back to the table. But for now, it just seems I don't know. It seems not very likely. At least to me, it doesn't.